That wasn't the right
No,
thumb.
it wasn't the right intro video for sure. All right. So, Carl, lead us through our next session of vibe coding.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is I actually did a little bit more. Um, hold on. I'm gonna share my screen here. I'm gonna share my entire screen. Okay. Do I need to wait for
I
you
can bring
to
it up.
do?
I just want to make sure
I don't have any
Yeah,
access.
yeah. Just go for it.
So I actually Prajwal here, who we're kind of following, actually provided a more exact system how he's done it. So I'm like, okay, let's do that. So we have a PRD and BP plan. But I actually quickly developed a UI dev plan, a database design implementation plan, just because I didn't want to spend another session building that out again. So what I did, I didn't want to do that. Just we would never be doing any kind of vibe anything. We'd just be stuck in ChatGPT forever. So I don't want to be doing that. So essentially where we left off is we had some designs, but I was like, okay, those are okay. What I did though is I want you to help me with the UI dev plans. So essentially what it did is provided me a UI dev plan. So here it is. And then I just put it into Notion. So that's a UI dev plan. I created a database design plan and then a end-to-end implementation plan. And that's where I kind of stopped. So I 1, 2, 3. We'll do the launch checklist.
Could you give us a quick breakdown of what those are for?
So like essentially a UI dev plan is to develop your user interface, like what you want it to look like. Now, usually we kind of did it using images, but I thought if we're going to go do this and we're building the site, we might as well do it a little bit right. So essentially, there are some things in our UI plan that we don't have yet. So for example, we don't have final hex codes. We don't have Google. We kind of don't have some of these items that we'd normally take a look at. So it's like, but I think I would essentially, I didn't want to import anything to Figma because that would take even more time. So what I was going to do is just, before I go into Code Guide, I actually wanted to go into UX Pilot. So I was going to, I think like I wanted to design at least the homepage of this. So for example, here, handout, like at least we have some sort of UI development plan. Now, what he did say is we can skip the whole, we didn't go to Code Guide, but use your UI dev plan for building out all the screens. So I don't know if you want to go into that and build every single screen through UX Copilot, UX Pilot, because we could, or we could just take, I think let's do this first. I'm going to take the PRD, and then stick it into Code Guide first to give us like a full PRD. And then let's start there. Yeah. So, and essentially, so quickly just describe, you want to describe, like part of having a database design too is what does your database look like? Like, when you add any kind of information to, I don't think especially when we have 500 YouTube videos, they're not all going to be hosted there, but there's other things that are going to be hosted on that site that we may need, right? And so just some thoughts on in terms of backup retention, right? Connections to front end, like just things that you would normally not think about, but this is a good piece.
Just understanding how to design out or the steps needed for a database and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you have your end-to-end implementation plan, right? How are you going to implement all these things? And so I'm just following what Prajwal essentially is going to go through. So I don't know. It's up to you. Did you? Oh, sorry. You know what? Like, yeah, let's go take our PRD and let's put it into code, into a new project, and that way we can build it out. So here, I'm just gonna copy and paste the entire. Yeah, let's just start there and let's go with that. So we're probably gonna go into Lovable. Hold on. Do you think we should put in our UI plan into this as well?
Well, okay. Well, I guess what we should run through is, so Code Guide is going to help us, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Code Guide is going to help us run through each of the, it's a framework that'll help us run through each step of what will finally output.
Yes.
But it's not going to actually be the thing that outputs everything for us.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So what kind of insights is Code Guide going to provide us for UI?
Well, it's going to provide essentially the project plan and the documents that then ideally you would take some of this to via like Visual Code Studio if you want to do it, like code it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But then what we could do is we have the documents, because I think what we want to do is try to build everything on Lovable by like 80%, but then we would have to take the last 20 to Cursor, and then you at least have all the documents related to it.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, usually more information is better, so we can throw that in there as well, and that should help inform Lovable when it's creating the UI elements, right? The user interface elements.
Okay. Here is the.
And so while you're going through that, I'll just do a quick recap of what we've been doing so far, right? So if you've stumbled upon this live stream or watching it later, essentially what we're trying to do is go through a vibe code process. We're following a couple frameworks from some that's been released or posted upon to improve your vibe coding steps. And I don't know if we've shared it. Maybe we shared it in a previous episode, but we can reshare the resources that we're using. But essentially, by following this framework and these steps, we can try to maximize the output that we're going to get from our vibe coding. So we're implementing, going through the process of creating a PRD or product requirements document to help lay out everything that we want to see in our vibe coding project. Now, for us, we've decided to do an easy one that everyone, vibe coding project that everyone will want to do, and everybody wants one of these things. And we definitely need an update to our own, and that's the website. There are plenty of products out there that can just whip up a website for you. So if you don't have any concerns or requirements of what your website's going to be like, there are certainly those kinds of tools that already exist. But we figured this would be an easy way to illustrate some of the processes and methodologies you can use to maximize your vibe coding output and quality. So we have already gone through the PRD process, and Carl's come up with a couple of other design documents that we are now popping into Code Guide. And Code Guide will help give us insights and put together all of the documents that will help us move on to the next part of it, and that's the tools that will actually be generating the code. And right now we've chosen Lovable for that. All right, Carl. So where are we in Code Guide now?
So I have uploaded the I've uploaded the PRD, like the outline of the PRD we developed and the UI dev plan. There's only 10,000 characters I can put in. So I didn't put the database design plan, which is fine. And so essentially, yeah, so this is what we have. I put that in, and then let's just go with the next steps then. And then what I want to do is the coding tools we're going to use Lovable. We'll probably want to take into Cursor. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Any AI models we'll be using, well, they haven't updated this yet, but we will be using 2.5 Pro probably, although in Cursor I'd probably use Sonnet 4, but let's just put that in while we're at it. And then hey, maybe 4.1. Okay. Let's go next up.
And the main reason for these choices are because they're really good at the coding side of things.
Well, they'll tailor the project plan specifically to those things when you have an output, right? Okay, so yeah, so you before it completes this project plan, you do have to which CMS are we planning to put this on afterwards?
Okay. I mean, unless you have any specific suggestions, I would just go with WordPress.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. Okay. User role and permissions I think we should stick with the people who are going to be using the site. I don't want to put in any other like additional other people.
I mean, I don't think our site's going to be the place where people are logging in to contribute directly, right?
So admins and then content editors.
Yeah.
Probably we'll start with that for now. On the authentication method.
I believe we chose email and password.
Should users be able to save or bookmark episodes for later? And is that feature planned for the MVP or later? Good question.
Yeah, I don't think we actually thought about people in terms of using the site as the primary source for the past episodes. So that's an interesting question. And because of that, I don't think it qualifies for our MVP. I think that's a next stage, because the MVP is about getting the minimal viable product, right?
Yeah. Plan for a later phase. We probably want to figure this out.
What is this?
Do you have finalized branding assets? Like logos, hex codes, font selections.
Right. We in our last episode, we had some mock-ups drawn, and I believe we just decided to use those mock-ups as our initial design elements. So do we need to provide those first, or is that something that Lovable will be creating for us? So those are the questions for vibe coders. Yeah.
Oh, as a vibe coder, this is where it's hard for me, because like as someone who has a history of building sites,
sure,
I would definitely ask clients, hey, I need your logos, hex codes, fonts, and we would go through this, right? I guess for a vibe code, it wouldn't matter. You just stick it up. Although you would kind of like some sort of like structure on your site.
Sure. So is this something that we can make right now, or will we have to add it in later?
No, should we schedule a time to define? Speech to text, text to speech. Are there specific languages or voice support?
Not in the MVP.
Well, content, although even though it's not in the MVP, okay, fine, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely are gonna have those elements for sure, but not in this initial launch, right?
What content sources should the RAG model feature? Show transcripts, like.
Yes. I believe right now we have the episodes, the links to the episodes themselves, so that you can watch on their pages, and then the show transcripts.
Anything else? Or is that mostly from the transcripts?
Yeah, I think everything's going to be repurposed from the transcripts. We can certainly put the video details, such as I mean, we want the title and description that we can grab in from YouTube on those. But I think anything else that's going to be a more like if you want a more deeper summary or analysis or anything like that, that's all just going to be from the transcript.
Okay. How long should the generated transcript summaries AI chat logs be stored? Oh yeah, and do we have any data retention or privacy policies we need to follow? Probably need some of that.
Right. So, okay. So I guess this question gives me a pause. Is it assuming that we're generating new transcripts? Because we're going to be providing all of the transcripts. It's going to be more.
No, but when we go into, well, no, we will be, but at the same time too, if you have a chat log, what's our data retention on that? Or we're not there yet?
Oh yeah, that both of those things are not applicable because of we don't have. That's not going to be in our MVP. We definitely will need to have that as part of the privacy and terms and agreement policies. Yeah.
How about this one?
What's this question?
Will users can you read? Are you able to see this or not?
I can see it. I just can't. I can't read it very clearly, and that's just on my side. And and it's good to read through the question for the audio.
Oh, okay. Essentially, will users be able to comment or upload any user-generated content on the episode pages? And if so, how should moderation work?
No.
Okay. Beyond Typeform or Calendly sponsor forms, do you require any CRM or analytic integration to manage sponsor relationships?
Not for the MVP.
Okay. Okay, so here's essentially the summary, the project summary. So like we put in the PRD, purpose, phase rollouts, and then we put in the web UI. I put the web UI in there too. And then we answer the questions, and now we're going to generate the outline.
All right. So it's essentially like a short assessment to really help you flesh out any additional content or things that you'll need.
Yeah.
You'll need for your overall project.
Which is interesting. So so what it does, which is really neat, and we can regenerate this if we want, is Content Hub, right? These are the core features we were talking about: Content Hub, episode listing, speaker bios, sponsors, authentication, AI-driven interactions. Then app flow, visiting the homepage. Did you want to read through this, or we just want to go?
Well, it's just a breakdown of everything we've provided it, right? Or is this net new information?
This is net new information.
Okay. So what is it covering?
Essentially, it covers our entire core features and then
Mhm.
app flow. So all the
Okay.
core features that we have,
Right.
each and every single listing, and then a description of what it's supposed to do. Now,
Okay.
do we want to read this out or like take time to review it? Or do we just say, yes, this sounds
Well, yeah, yeah, we can quickly, read through it. So for core features, these are all, and I believe these are all things that we identified in our PRD, right? It's a
we did,
content.
but it's interpretation of what we did in our PRD.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Well, let's look. Is there anything that doesn't align with what our project is looking like?
Not from the titles, but the devil is in the details here. So
Sure.
I have to kind of review that. I have to read it. I don't know if we want to read it out loud.
All right. Let's see here. So let's look at the things that might pop out as things that we have to pay close attention to, right? So under core features, content hub, that sounds in total alignment. We want an episode listing page. We want speaker bios and about page. We definitely identify that we want a sponsors and partnerships page. Now, things like authentication, security, and AI-driven interactions, that's probably something that we need to take a little closer at. So what does it say under authentication and security?
Well, it says user login functionality based on email and password will protect administrative and editorial interfaces, while robust security measures, including DDoS protection and best practice authentication flows, will safeguard both user data and site stability.
Okay, so that looks pretty standard. That's exactly what we told it. And what's the AI-driven interactions?
So this one is real-time voice interaction using OpenAI's WebSocket coupled with a RAG generation system. RAG system will allow users to engage in natural language queries, drawing primarily from episode transcripts to deliver accurate context-aware answers and recommendations.
Okay, so this is where the question of what we're developing, right? So our PRD seems to include it does include beyond our MVP. So that's probably what that's being drawn from, right?
Yep.
So these AI-driven interactions is not going to be on our MVP. That's something that we are going to want to add in the next step. Our MVP, as I understand it, and please again chime in, is that we just want to get the content up there and the structure up there and all that minimal viable information. And then we will be adding the larger components, such as an AI chatbot and having a RAG base, connected to it.
Yeah.
So that part probably just needs to be taken out, as opposed to listing it all out here.
Okay. Like we can take all this and just delete it. I'm not going to.
Well, okay, so we can't do it by section. It's either all or nothing.
I can't do that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's quickly go through the app flow, which I think is the more important part. And then we can go back to that. All right.
Do you want
to? So we'll quickly go through that. We're visiting the homepage. All right. Exploring the episodes, watching the episodes, searching and filtering, account registration and login, personalized dashboard. Okay, so let's look at account registration and login. All right, what does it say there?
When a user wishes to unlock personalized features, they click the login button and are prompted to create an account using email and password authentication. After confirming their email address, they land on a simple dashboard that welcomes them to name and offers quick links to saved items in AI chat. Gotcha. Security measures, including,
So what that looks like is there's another misalignment with our MVP. We're not adding user personalized things for the website. The website is just supposed to be informative. That's correct, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's something that we'll have to pay attention.
I think what it's when we talks about here is unlock. Yeah,
Right. Because that's not
we could take
the,
it out.
right. That's not the MVP part. So that's something that we'll have to address. And then I'm sure the
Yeah.
personalized dashboard, that's part of the user
Yeah.
account idea. So that's something that we'll have to take out because that's not part of the MVP.
Yeah.
So I mean these are good things to identify to clarify what you're having in your MVP versus what you want to see in the next steps or your next versions. So it's good to go through this so that we can identify what needs to be removed for now. Sponsor and partnership inquiry, that's a part that we want. The AI chat interaction, that goes back to having the chat bot, which we don't have on the MVP. And future bookmarking feature, I guess that's the way we answered that one question about being able to bookmark. So that's not part of the MVP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think for the tech stack here, you can add tech stacks. I don't know if you want to add anything right now. If you can see,
yeah, I don't think so. Not at this point.
Okay. And then, so what it's actually gonna, which is, I love this. It has, so it's gonna output documents, so PRD documents, the app flow document, tech stack document, front guidelines document, backend structure document, app flow chart, security guideline. I love this, and project rules, which is fantastic because then you can put it into Cursor as part of the Cursor rules. So you have all these items that we can. Are we good to create the docs?
So go on and explain a little bit of what the project rules are, because I think that's a feature that a lot of people just don't know what that is.
Well, if you take your vibe, if you take your project into Cursor, you can set Cursor rules so that whenever throughout the entire project, every single time you essentially ask it to do something, it still follows the structure of the rules that you have.
Okay.
That's
okay. So yeah, it's a little bit like custom instructions, but what it does is it helps overcome what like initial forays into using Cursor is, hey, you ask it to do one change and it changes so many things. But with the rules, it provides more of a structure for Cursor to look at your code base.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So what's the next step?
So we're going to create the documents.
Okay.
So it's going to create every single one of these documents, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm creating the PRD first. I guess I should have created that first, but we're just going to have to, it's going to go piece by piece. You know what I should have done? I should have just clicked all of them, but whatever.
Oh.
Which is kind of slow, but let's stick with one first.
And
we can Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, and the main purpose for doing all this is to provide the information to our vibe coding platform to develop everything that we're
correct
doing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So the more time we put into this whole pre-coding step or this pre-production step, the better our output will be when we finally go into the coding part of things.
Correct. So this is a good time though. This is great because I'm gonna remove this. Remember, the chat widget is out of scope. So I'm gonna actually X that. Okay. I'm gonna put it into here.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it into later phases.
We should do the authentication as well.
That is out too. Wait a minute. Are you sure? Because wouldn't we want our logins and admins to be added in? Like we want this for our MVP or no?
Well, here's the thing. Based upon the documents that we went through, what it's going to be talking about, any mention of authentication is to create a system for user accounts, right? Having a dashboard and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
For us, since we're putting it into a CMS, the CMS has its own authentication. So do we need a separate authentication for that? Or will this include non-user accounts?
You know what? If we are going to take it to WordPress, it won't matter because, right. I'll just put that in later. Okay, so all these things seem to be correct, right? User flow, I think we talked about. Core features.
Well, is there under the user flow? It mentions that the AI chat.
Well, that's what I'm gonna either put in or take out.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it's user flow, click episode, find dashboard. But here it is. At any point, the floating microphone can be clicked to open an AI chat. So I'm gonna delete that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just gonna essentially delete that part.
We should take out the dashboard part.
Which part? Oh. Okay. And then core features, hero homepage, episode library, blah, 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 blah. So we'll remove this. I guess I'll remove this too. No, I don't want to remove that. Hold on.
Well, remember the authentication is.
But how about this? That's important.
Not that line. Gotcha.
I'm not going to remove that. Non-functional requirements, performance. Like this is important. This is important. Yep, important. Constraints. Yep, that's fine. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. So this is essentially our PRD. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this. So I'm going to put this into this, and I'm going to put this into here. Okay, you know what we're going to do to make it quicker? Right? Oh, I'm gonna generate the unified project documentation first before I think like just because this is something that you will take into Lovable.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Specifically,
so
it's a Lovable focused document.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we copy and paste that into Lovable.
Okay.
And then
what's the kind of content we expected to see in that document?
Pretty much a summary of everything here.
Of everything there. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll have to make those edits. We may have to remake the edits too.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So the question while it's generating is we can go more granular and essentially go into UX Pilot and explain page by page by page by page by page. What do you want it to do? Do we want to do that or?
Well, okay. So explain. So UX Pilot is a separate tool.
Yeah, it's a separate tool. And so essentially what you're doing is instead of you giving Lovable just free reign into creating all the pages, every single screen, essentially, right? Screens, you can customize a screen one by one, like the UI of every single screen.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So you could definitely like get customized and then describe it, right?
Gotcha. All right. Yeah. And this is part of the framework that we're following?
Well, Prajwal goes back and forth. Sometimes he uses UX Pilot, sometimes he doesn't. So it's really kind of like, it's more of if you have a very specific user interface that you are thinking about, or you have like, hey, you've planned it out, then you could.
Okay, I mean, I can see the benefit of doing that. For us, we don't have a brand guide necessarily for this project, right? So
Yeah.
we kind of want to take this opportunity to create new things. So I guess the big question is, would you allow for, because if we don't use UX Pilot, if we don't describe every page and how we want it, then Lovable is going to make those assumptions. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Mind you, because
Mhm.
we have those images we already created, we could load those into Lovable. Essentially, what this enables you to do
Mhm.
is build your own UI first and be like, oh,
Gotcha.
I tweak it and then take it to Lovable.
Excellent. Okay, so it's finer control of
Very fine.
each
Yeah, more finer
element you
control.
want. Okay, I think for our purposes, that'll bog down the process, because
Okay.
we don't have those already pre-designed for us. We want to use what we were able to generate as mockups as the basis of what we're looking for. So since we have those images and Lovable can just use those, we should just use those for this project.
Okay.
But I can totally see how the UX Pilot would be a huge boon to whatever project you were going to implement, depending on its
Mhm.
complexity. Like, our website's not going to have more than 6 different types of pages,
Yeah.
right? At most, it'll have 6 different types, and then it'll be replicating, one type like 500 times. But if you have a site, or you have a project that's going to have intricate different views, layouts, and things like that, that makes perfect sense to implement. UX Pilot makes a perfect sense for implementing it, especially if you're not already doing designs in Figma,
Yeah.
or you're not already doing designs in your Webflow and things like
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. I had a question. So this is the unified project document that we'll put into Lovable. So I
Mhm.
removed some of the other stuff that we did previously. The one
Mm.
thing that so in scope MVP authentication remains using Esther. I'm gonna go basic rate limiting and DODOS. So I'm gonna copy that, make sure that's in there. This is out of scope, user flow. I don't think we need this in our user flow necessarily.
What part is that?
Is sponsors page and type submit a type form inquiry that fires a
Oh,
Slack alert. I don't think
right, right. No, we don't need to do that at this point. You're correct.
so take that out. And then core features are fine. I updated that. The one thing though here is tech stack and tools. Now I'm not sure what impact will this have, but it says AI and integrations, OpenAI API over WebSocket for chat, retrieval, augmented generation, same things that we were talking about. I don't like, because it's in
Yeah,
the tech stack and tool section. I may just delete that,
right.
and then we'll have the typeform and Calendly embeds, which I think we were talking about. Non-functional, that's fine. That's fine. Constraints, that's fine. App flow document. I think all this is fine. I just really quickly go through that. Tech stack, front end, back end technologies. I want to see what it looks like with an N8N. Do we want that in there?
Well, if we're not going to specify that we want an N8N integration, then it shouldn't be part of our backend technologies, not for the MVP.
Okay.
Yeah,
We do want a Slack integration though, don't we?
well, if we're, again, this is the same thing as N8N. We took it out from the top, so we got to take it out from the bottom.
Oh God. Okay. Front end, blah 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 blah. That's that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. 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 Implementation plan. That's It's a pain in the neck.
Oh, and authentication as well.
Okay, so I'm going to download this. This is the
authentication part as well.
what?
Number 7.
Okay, that's the unified document. Cool. I'm gonna copy the unified document.
We got Jen watching us. Oh, it's hard to see on the screen there, but essentially, Jen, if you have questions about any of the process, definitely interrupt us and ask your questions. Part of this whole process is working out all of the steps, bugs, and if there's anything that we weren't clear on, please definitely mention it so that we can reiterate.
She's gonna finish generating all the documents.
Gotcha. Excellent. So process-wise, I mean, we've definitely spent a lot of time already working on the pre-coding step, just generating an MVP, the PRDs that we're bringing into Code Guide, Code Guide's additional assessment and generation of these documents. This is the part that's going to, the more time we spend on this part is going to give us a better output at the end. But how much time, I guess it really matters on what the level of project is, right? So so if someone was going to dive in, start using this framework, start vibe coding this way, should they worry about how much time this first part takes?
No, because this is the most important part of your, like, unless you just want to try the tool and create something, but the amount of time you're going to have to, or the frustration level, essentially, when you go back and like, I wanted to do this, or, you know, if you go into level, we'll be like, hey, change this aspect or change this because this is not really what I wanted. If you can kind of get most of that done, at least via structured approach like this, I know it's a pain in the ass. Like, it's such a pain because you have to go to chat. Like, it's not bad though, because you can go on a walk and just have a conversation. Like it, and if you're just starting from scratch, it's more of like, oh, I was thinking of building this. Can you help me build a PRD? Like, what should I be thinking about? And then that's where the AI can really help you. Like, ChatGPT can really help you there, or whatever tool you use. And then you'll go back and forth and just give it the criteria, right? So like, okay, I want to develop an application, but before I do it, I want to develop a PRD, a UI plan, a database implementation. Can you help me with that? Yes. And then you start going blah, 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 blah. And then you obviously add, hey, I want you to be, you know, be brutally honest. I want you to, like, you know, challenge my assumptions, whatever it is, just so you have something that like doesn't always agree with you, but also challenges you, and make sure that like you have something that by the end of this, you should have a pretty good sense of what you can apply, right? Like, to me, that's like, it stinks because it's like, it takes a long time because you don't actually get to see what you want to create, but this just helps you out so much.
Gotcha. Before we move on, let's take the opportunity to reiterate the framework we're using is from Prajwal. Can you share that link in the private chat, and I'll make sure it gets into stream here.
Oh, sure.
Just give me the URL or whatever. Yeah, there you go.
Where do I have you?
Just put it in Talk Studio private chat, and I can then share it to stream. Excellent. Copy.
So what I'm doing is I'm just downloading each of these documents.
Gotcha. All right, and the links in the chat for everyone who's watching, and then we'll make sure to compile all of this and put it somewhere in our Slack community.
Thing is, like, for me, when I do this, I spend even more time just because I'm pretty specific in what you want to build. But I would recommend, if you do this, you spend as much time as possible doing it. It just makes a lot of sense. It just would help a lot.
Right.
I wonder.
Yeah, and I know we're not under any particular time constraints ourselves overall
right.
for the series, but there is there's a lot of wisdom in being able to have the conversations back and forth, right? So that, like you said, talking to ChatGPT, asking lots of questions about it makes sense. All right, so you downloaded all those documents. Yeah, I saw something that popped on there that said we had the prompt.
So what it would do is we're going to copy the prompt. This is why it's important to pick which tool you were going to use. But here I'm going to use, let's say I want to take this directly into Cursor. I'm going to go take it to Cursor, and it would actually give me the prompt based on everything here, which is fantastic, right? Like, it gives you something. So I'm going to go lovable prompt. Got it. And then we're going to go to lovable, and then I'm going to paste that prompt, and it's this entire thing, right? So we have to just make sure that we double check here. Key features, blah, 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 blah. So I think, like, again, because we have to remove the AI driven, we have to be very careful. But, like, actually, you know what we'll do? Make it a lot easier, because I don't want to edit like through there. I'm going to go, it just doesn't make any sense.
Right, let's open up a notepad or something.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not doing that. That is insane. I'm just going to go to notes.
Okay.
I'm just going to create a brand new note, and I'm going to copy paste it. Okay, so let's just, and I love it, because if you think about it, this is fantastic. Like, it's going to give you a very comprehensive.
Well, it's also great for insight into prompting.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So each tool or each service is going to be slightly different, right? Because they have their own suggestions on to get best output. But if you're also looking for a great way to just format your prompting in general, you can see how it's using Markdown to separate each of the steps, what the goals are, and then identifying what are the features and tools that you want, and what steps to be taken when executing those instructions and things like that. So if anything, if you have access to Code Guide, you're gonna have some input into how making your prompts better as well.
Yes. So I'm gonna have to take that out. Authentication and dashboard.
Yeah.
So it's just one. But why did we say that when we were in our MVP to begin with?
Well, here's the thing. The PRD and I think this is a learning opportunity for ourselves. We designed the PRD to see what we wanted now and in the future. We did not approach the PRD as specifically only the MVP. And I think that's definitely a stumbling block there, is because we identified both what we wanted from the MVP and what we wanted in our next steps. And what using these tools is definitely highlighted is that you really want to keep your focus on the exact thing that you want to make right now, and then have some other method of tracking what your future features are going to be.
I'm just reading through this to make sure we got everything.
Definitely. And you can see these prompts are very extensive, right? This is not this is not a condensed paragraph that you can throw into ChatGPT. This is something for, because it's a lot about of guidance, right? With any large prompt framework is it's about guiding your LLM, whatever model you're choosing, through each of the logical steps, right? But you're just using English instead of doing it via code, right?
If you have a chance, I would recommend watching the Andre Karpathy. He was on Startup School for Y Combinator. It was
an interview. Is this a new interview or?
This was, I don't know if you saw it, but like, so it was about a day ago they posted it. So it's definitely worth.
Oh, I might not have caught that one. Yeah, send me that one too, so I can put that in chat.
Yeah. Okay. So we have everything that we possibly, I think, could do. Oh, one thing that we wanted to add, by the way, did we want to add the images that we generated?
Yes. Should we identify that, or that wouldn't be in the initial prompt from code?
No,
right?
Well, what we can do is at the end we can just okay. Which ones did we? These ones.
Yeah.
Did we want to use that? Okay, so this is the chat. These are the Gemini generated ones.
Yeah, I think we went with the chat ones at the end, because those were the latest ones that we decided on, was the chat GPT versions.
We may have to do this again. So here, so I copied this entire thing. If it has double performance optimization, you know what we could do? Okay, I know. Let's just make it simple. So I'm gonna go boop boop. What would we call this?
This would be UI elements.
Use the attached images as inspiration.
Yeah. Or guidance, either word.
To when creating the web pages. Okay, cool. Let's just do that. No, okay. Oh, you got to be kidding me. What? Oh, it's mostly because I had to change my stupid password because some leaks or some stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, actually, perfect. It saved it. Yay! I don't have to do anything. Okay. So,
awesome.
Okay. Oh, but I do have to attach it though. All right, here we go.
Here we go. Cross your fingers, everyone. Let's hope Lovable makes a perfect website and we don't have to make any additional changes.
Yes, hopefully. Well, one thing I've learned too is when you go into Lovable, it's important that if you are going to make changes, which you never have to do, you probably want to do it. I've seen where people are like, oh, I don't like this and I don't like that and I don't want to change it. So trying to change it all at once. I would say stick to one, just one. And also it's like put in some sort of instruction, like do not change anything other than this particular section. Because what it's going to do is could just do the entire site. Right. And like, so it's you want to be very targeted on what you want to edit. So this could take a while because it's a pretty complex instruction what we provided to it. But I'm always, whenever I go into Level, I'm always happy when you do something like this because it's very, very, very like, and I think they're using Sonnet 4. I think, because I don't think I can change the model in.
Right. There's there was a recent announcement. I remember that Lovable integrated one of the new models. Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head.
I do have to run, but what we'll do is we'll wait until whatever thing comes up, and then that'll be like the next part.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think that's a great way to end the stream. would be to just see what is the initial generation from Lovable.
Yeah.
Because if we can click around in it and get some general the framework that we asked for is there, that'd be fantastic. And then we'll have to go into the nitty gritty part. So anyone who's joined us, lucky you, you're gonna see the culmination of all of the input that we did in the pre-coding phase of the process. So that'll be awesome. So Jen, stick around. Thank you for joining us on your lunch break.
Okay.
Now, we talked about the amount of time. Don't worry about the amount of time that it takes to go through the process for the pre-coding side of things. Is there any indication that Lovable stops or stalls once you've reached a certain level of complexity, or
I haven't seen anything
time,
like
that kind of thing?
I'll give you an example. So my buddy, so he literally they did not do the exact same steps we did. Essentially, they took their project plan and all the work they did. So this was like 5 years ago. They created this site.
Okay.
And it took them about the weekend to get it done. And then pricing. So like,
and their method was this was manual.
This was manual. And they just uploaded all their project, like everything that they had thought about when developing the site or the project, they just uploaded it in and just started it from scratch.
Gotcha. Oh, and shout out to Cisco. Thanks, thanks for joining us on this. And definitely let us know if there is anything that you want to know in particular. More than happy to dive into some of your questions and things like that. Okay, so is Lovable still churning?
Oh, it's gonna be
still churning. So how long does it normally take? I know that's a hard question to answer because everything's different, but should you expect it to take a long time? Like,
yes, you should.
This is not the same thing as the spinning rainbow wall or the spinning wheel, and we're worried about that it's going to break on us.
No, because you can start seeing if you actually just look at your PRD, right? You can see what it's actually building out. So it's like,
okay, so we can follow along with the progress.
You can follow along if you know your episode pages. It's like the detail page, it's still there. Now it's developing your about page. That should be pretty quick. And then but it did say it failed at doing something. I'm not sure what.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got episodes. Nope, 404 on that one.
Maybe that's the one that it failed.
I think that was maybe the one that it kind of did. So I'm just gonna refresh this page right now. Oh, that is not. Huh. Okay. Return to home. Does the return to home works? How about the about page? Good. Return to home. Okay, that's cool. It gives us a starting point, right? So we now have to ask it to build the episode page, the about page. I would suspect that page too.
And is it complete? We're looking at the process is done. The process, and now we just need to go back.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was looking at right? Like I think what we'd have to do is like essentially go back to the episode page. I'm curious why it didn't. Like for me, is like why
is it able to expand out where the errors were or anything like that?
No, I saw it really quickly.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, okay, what happened here? And this is where we'd have to take it as a vibe coder. You're like, oh, what's interesting, and maybe we can do a little bit of this. Is let's get out of okay. What we can do is we can hit chat and be like, why wasn't I'll just do this. The episode about and sponsor pages built. And so when you press this, it won't do anything. You'll just have a chat with.
Right. You
lovable.
activated the chat as
Yeah, so
opposed
I hit
to,
the chat
okay,
and be like, hey,
great.
why was it not?
And do you know if Lovable has a automatically logging feature?
Yes, it does. It does. It
Okay.
does. It does. I can see. So it's still reading. It's still checking.
Okay.
I'll close this. Right here. But it's missing the routers for. Oh, okay. Blah blah blah. I need to add the missing routers. Okay. And I'm going to say, hey, you know what? Implement that plan.
Yeah.
And then let it go.
I mean, it sounds like that was the problem.
Yeah.
Now, what I know is there's a lot of people who said that this part of this process is you implement the plan. It's gonna make some corrections. Does Lovable have a rollback feature?
I've never used it. I
Okay.
think this is. Oh, what is? Sorry, my dog has put everything in the car. What are you doing, dog? Here, come here. Come up. Come up here. Stop putting stuff in your mouth. Here, go play with us. Yeah.
There you go. Hey, puppy. All right.
Bobby.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and that's excusable.
Yes. Okay. So it has developed it. So what we want to do is just refresh this.
Yeah.
And then here we go. So it's built out let's take a look at the about page. Not bad. And then the sponsor page.
Excellent.
So the question I have though is, okay, in the about page, it has our hero image, our hero section, which I don't think we want it to have. Right?
Oh, under the about page, right?
Yeah, at home page, then you have about. This makes no sense. Obviously, you want the about. You want it to come up pretty quick, right?
Right.
And then sponsor page, same thing. So there's a couple things that we could definitely play with it, but we do have a skeleton now for a site.
Yeah, fantastic. And then we just got to put in our own images and all those kinds of things. Yes. And this will be a question for the future: is how easy will it be to maintain or update once we have it up and running, right? So implementation, being able to deploy, and then being able to maintain from there, making changes, having a change log, those kinds of things. Especially is how we're going to integrate this into the whole WordPress CRM, right? Because WordPress is the dominating platform. And so taking that to account in whatever you're developing specifically in websites.
You know what you could do is you could just hit the chat. It's like, I would like to move this page or put this page into WordPress. As a vibe coder, that's what you would ask.
There we go. All right. And we'll definitely be exploring that in later sessions. So I think that's what we'll call it for today.
Yes.
This is some excellent progress. So thank you for everybody for following along, and let us know if you have any questions in the episode. If you're watching it later, comment. And if you haven't already, click the bell, like, subscribe, and all of that fun stuff. We will be sharing more about this and additional projects in our Slack community. So if you want to join that, just head over to our current site, dailyaishow.com, or head over to dailyaishowcommunity.com to directly get signed up for the community. All right. So thank you again, everybody. And on the next one, we'll let you know as soon as we have the next one scheduled. And we'll start diving deeper into the guts of this and getting it up and running for us. All right. Thanks, Carl. And again, thank you, everybody. And we will see you later. Bye.